Hello everyone. I welcome you all to this news analysis initiative. These are the articles that are important from today's newspaper. We will move on to the first one. The first article for the day, United States deal will not include sensitive sectors. See, India and the United States have announced a trade agreement in which the US will reduce the tariffs it charges on Indian goods from about 50% to 18%. This means Indian products will face lower taxes when sold in the US, which should make them more competitive. However, the full text of the deal has not been officially released yet. The details are still being finalized and will be made public soon. But however, sensitive sectors are protected here. A key point made by the Indian Commerce Minister is that sensitive sectors like agriculture and dairy have been excluded from tariff concessions. This means India has not agreed to lower tariffs on these products, protecting local farmers and dairy producers from cheap imports. This is important because agriculture employs a large portion of India's population and is politically sensitive. While sensitive items like dairy and key farm products remain protected, labor intensive export sectors may gain from lower US tariffs. These include textiles and apparel, leather and footwear, gems and jewelry, chemicals and machinery, organic goods, and aircraft components. Lower tariffs can make Indian exports cheaper and more attractive in the US market, potentially boosting jobs and growth in these sectors. See, while reading this article, you should be also knowing about the most favored nation, which is a World Trade Organization principle. You should be knowing that. And the other one is the generalized system of preferences. This is the United States trade program that provides non-reciprocal duty-free treatment to certain products from certain beneficiary developing countries. However, India's status was revoked in 2019. You should be knowing this generalized system of preferences also. See the next article for the day. Conservationist apprehensive of turtle trails announced in budget. See, the union budget has proposed developing turtle trails along nesting beaches in coastal states like Odisha, Karnataka, and Kerala. These trails are expected to allow visitors or tourists to observe turtle nesting. But experts say mass nesting beaches must be disturbance free zones, not tourist spots. Now, what about olive ridley turtles? See, olive ridley turtles are endangered sea turtles and they are known for mass nesting called aribada. And this question was already asked in civil services prelims. Thousands to lakhs of turtles come together to lay eggs on the same beach. This phenomenon is very rare globally and happens mainly in India and Costa Rica. And India hosts the world's largest nesting grounds, especially in Odisha. And two major sites are Gagirmada and Rushikulya river mouth. Earlier, too many visitors disturbed nesting, so the government had already restricted tourism. In fact, last year, nearly 7 lakh turtles nested in just 8 days at Rushikulya, showing how ecologically sensitive the site is. Now, why are conservationists worried? See, there are three major concerns. The first one is the light disturbance. Turtles are highly sensitive to light. Artificial lights may confuse them, disturb nesting, and misguide hatchlings away from the sea. Number two, human presence. Crowds, noise, photography, flashlights can scare turtles, reduce egg laying, and damage nests. Number three, ecotourism risk. Past examples show ecotourism harms habitats. For example, in Chilika Lake, heavy boat tourism disturbed Irrawaddy dolphins. So experts fear turtle trails may repeat the same mistake. So what does the conservationists propose? They propose that mass nesting sites should be strict no-go zones. Very limited access only for research purpose, no construction or tourist infrastructure. And focus should be on protection and enforcement, not tourism. See, we should also strengthen the coastal patrols, stop illegal fishing during nesting season, repair enforcement boats, and improve habitat protection. We should also encourage scientific monitoring. In short, conservation first, tourism later. See, olive ridley turtles are under Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 and it is classified as vulnerable under the IUCN Red List and it is listed in Appendix 1 of the sites. The next article for the day, India's next industrial shift, electrons over molecules. See, for more than 100 years, industries have run on molecules, that is, coal, oil, gas, and diesel. These fuels are burned directly for heat and power. Now, the world is shifting to electrons, meaning electricity from the grid, especially renewable electricity like solar and wind. So instead of burning coal or diesel inside factories, machines run directly on electricity. See, there are three major advantages. Number one is higher efficiency. Electric motors convert more than 90% of energy into work. When you take petrol or diesel engines, they convert only 30 to 35%. So electricity wastes much less energy. Second one is cleaner. Electricity can be generated from solar, wind, and hydro. So pollution and carbon emission is reduced. Number three, more competitive. Industries get stable power, automation, lower cost, and easier decarbonization. This helps exports. Now, what is happening globally? The biggest example is China. China has almost 50% of industrial energy from electricity. Massive grid investment, electrified steel, cement, and factories. Because of this, manufacturing costs are lower, exports are stronger, and less dependence on imported fuels. Meanwhile, China has also done 50% of industrial electrification, whereas India only 25%. And green electricity in India is around 7 to 8% only. So India is lagging here. This article suggests an electron first strategy. If you take steel sector, we should promote electric arc furnace, use scrap recycling and use renewable electricity. In terms of cement sector, we must electrify processes, use waste heat recovery, adopt carbon capture technologies. See, this is not only about environment, it affects three big things. Competitiveness. Global markets demand low carbon goods. If India doesn't decarbonize, exports may face penalties like the European Union's carbon border tax. The second is energy security. Less oil and gas imports. So there is less dependence on foreign countries, which promotes more stability. Number three, sovereignty. Industries can locate anywhere, not just near fuel sources. See, the global industrial race is now not coal versus oil, but electricity versus fuel. So, countries that shift faster to clean electricity will attract investment, create jobs, dominate supply chains. So, India must invest in grids, electrify industry, promote green power use, and launch a national mission on industrial electrification. See the next article for the day. There is no case for scrapping MP LATS funds. First, basics. MP LATS stands for Members of Parliament Local Area Development Scheme. It was launched in 1993. It is a central sector scheme fully funded by the Government of India. Under the scheme, each MP gets rupees 5 crore per year and they can recommend projects in their constituency and focuses on durable community assets. Examples like roads, school buildings, drinking water facilities. So the idea is simple, let MPs directly solve local problems. Now, what is the current controversy? Recently, some MPs from Rajasthan allocated funds outside their constituencies in another state. The allegation was funds were politically motivated, not used locally. However, according to MP LAT's guidelines given in 2023, MPs are allowed to spend up to rupees 50 lakh outside their constituency or state. In disasters, up to rupees 1 crore can be spent. So technically, such spending is permitted within rules. This shows the issue is about implementation, not illegality. However, there are some criticisms of MP LUTs, like funds are underutilized, projects are delayed, political misuse happens, therefore scrap the scheme. Now we will look into the data. See, in 17th Lok Sabha, the allocated funds are around 4,837 crore rupees and the spent is around 3,639 crore rupees, so around 75% utilization. Many delays happened due to COVID pandemic. See, if you take earlier Lok Sabhas, in 16th only 8.7% unspent, in 15th it was 3.47% unspent, and in 14th Lok Sabha almost full utilization. So historically, most funds were actually used properly. So this proves underutilization is not the dominant trend. Now, why scrapping MP LATs is not a good idea? See, there are three strong arguments for continuing it. The first one is the local knowledge. MPs know local needs better than central bureaucracy. Number 2, quick action. Small works like roads, toilets, water tanks can be completed faster. Number 3 is accountability. Voters directly judge MPs based on visible development. So, MP lads improves grassroots governance. So, what should be done instead? Instead of scrapping MP lads, we need reforms like better monitoring, transparency dashboards, geo-tagged works, training workshop for MPs, and faster approvals. See, the next article for the day has the 16th Finance Commission sidelined the states. See, we have already seen the basics about Finance Commission, vertical devolution, horizontal devolution for the past 2 days. So we will skip to the real issue given in this article. States get 41% only from the divisible pool, not the total revenue. And certain revenues are excluded like cesses, surcharges and collection cost. These are non-shareable. So, if center collects more via cesses, states get less money. If center collects normal taxes, states get more share. Now, what is happening in reality? Earlier, 93 to 95 rupees out of 100 is shareable taxes. Only 5 to 7 rupees are considered as cesses or surcharges. Now, 86 to 89 rupees out of 100 is shareable, whereas 11 to 13.5 rupees is considered as cesses or surcharges. So, non-shareable revenue has almost doubled. This means even though 41% stays same, 41% of a smaller pie, that is equal to less money for states. Now, what did the states demand? Almost 18 states, cutting across party lines, demanded increased share from 41% to 45 to 50% because health, education, welfare costs are rising. GST reduced their independent tax powers. They need more funds. But the commission did not increase the share. Now, why did the commission side with center? The Finance Commission argued center needs money for defense, emergencies, national infrastructure and security challenges. It also said constitution allows unlimited cesses, so capping them is imprudent. But interestingly, it admitted that too many cesses are undesirable for states. So it acknowledged the problem but did not fix it. Now, why is this important? Because this weakens the fiscal federalism. Because states depend heavily on central transfers, it reduces state autonomy. Less money is equal to less policy freedom. And it is unfair to performing states. States with good governance feel penalized. The fourth is center bypassing sharing mechanism. Using cesses and surcharges avoids sharing obligation. So, critics says that the commission has indirectly favored the center's priorities. See the next article for the day. How did the space sector fare in the budget? See, India's space spending has grown steadily. Since 2012-13, budget increased by about 182%. Post-pandemic, spending is now above pre-COVID levels. Total ecosystem spending is around 15,000 crore rupees. Then what is the problem? The problem is the budget mainly supports government space programs, not private industry. India opened the space sector to private players after 2020 reforms, but opening the door legally is not equal to supporting financially. Private companies still face structural hurdles. Three reforms are suggested. The first one is the production linked incentive scheme. Like mobile manufacturing, space hardware is expensive. Without subsidies, Indian parts cost more than imports. So the result is India loses competitiveness. The second is GST rationalization. Current problem is that companies pay GST on components, imports and raw materials, but final products are often GST exempt. So they cannot claim refunds. This creates hidden 18% extra cost. Indian hardware becomes costlier. The third is the critical infrastructure status. If space facilities are classified as critical infrastructure, companies get cheaper loans, lower interest rates. Currently, Indian firms borrow at 10 to 12%. Global firms borrow at 4 to 6%. So, Indian startups struggle. See, there is something known as the Death Valley problem. In space sector, R&D takes years, huge investment and no yearly revenue. So companies face a gap called Death Valley. Industry requested that tax holidays, R&D credits and grants, but budget only provided a small venture capital fund. Now, why does this matter? Because global space economy is booming. India's goal is from 3% to 10% of global share by 2030, and without private industry, this is impossible. See the next article for the day, why the government has increased capital spending for the defense sector. See, the total defense budget is around 7.8 lakh crore rupees, which is around 14 to 15% of total government expenditure, which is the highest allocation ever. But the most important change is capital expenditure, which is the modernization. Around 2.19 lakh crore rupees, that is 27.9% of defense budget is given for capital expenditure. Now, why increase capital spending? There are four main reasons. Reason 1, rising geopolitical threats. India faces China on northern borders, Pakistan on western borders, and two front war possibility. And the recent conflicts showed need for precision weapons, need for drones and anti-drone technology, and need for fast replenishment of stockpiles. So India must modernize urgently, not slowly. Reason 2, war preparedness and stockpiles. Recent operations exposed shortages of precision guided munitions, loitering drones, advanced air defense. So the budget includes money for replenishing services, emergency procurement, and faster acquisitions. Reason 3, Atmanirbhar Bharat push. Government wants domestic defense manufacturing, less imports, and strategic autonomy. So, nearly 75% of capital acquisition is reserved for Indian industry. Reason 4, controlling salaries and pensions. Earlier, salaries and pensions took huge share, almost 55 to 60%. Now, pension share reduced, salary share reduced. Schemes like Agnipath help reduce long-term pension burden. So, more money is freed for modernization. Okay, the next article for the day, Supreme Court questions WhatsApp Meta on personal data. Now, what is the case? WhatsApp and Meta were challenged for sharing user data, commercial exploitation of behavioral information, and using data for targeted advertising. The court said millions of users are silent consumers who may not fully understand what they are consenting to. So, is consent really informed and meaningful? That's the core question. The bench, led by the Chief Justice, raised three major concerns. The first is the consent is not truly informed. Poor or rural users may not understand complex legal language, know what data is being collected, and know how to opt out. So, clicking agree is not equal to real consent. Number two, data has economic value. Personal data is not just about privacy, it has commercial value, behavioral insights, and advertising profits. See, for example, if you chat with a doctor, immediately you get medical ads. This shows data is monetized. So, users are not just consumers, they become the product. Number three, privacy law is incomplete. The court noted that India's Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023 protects privacy but does not address economic value of data and does not regulate data monetization properly. So there is a legal gap. See, India already recognizes right to privacy, declared it as a fundamental right in Justice K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India. Now the question is, should protection go beyond privacy, include data ownership and value sharing? The court even suggested learning from European Union's digital laws and stricter governance of big technology. See, this is a very important article. India enters allied group with successful missile tech test. See, India's Defense Research and Development Organization DRDO successfully conducted a flight test of solid fuel ducted ramjet technology. The test was carried out from integrated test range Chandipur, Odisha, and this is not just a normal missile test. It is a technology demonstration of a high-speed propulsion system. Now, what is this SFDR? Let's break the term. Ramjet, a special engine that uses air from the atmosphere, burns fuel at very high speed and gives sustained thrust. Now, solid fuel ducted ramjet SFDR is, it uses solid fuel and maintains high speed for longer time, gives longer range and better accuracy. In simple words, normal missile burns fuel quickly and slows down, whereas SFDR missile maintains sustained speed and travels farther and faster. Now, why is this important? This technology helps build long range air to air missiles. Fighter aircraft can hit enemy aircraft from much farther distance beyond visual range combat and better survival in air warfare. So, advantages are longer range, higher speed, better maneuverability, greater lethality, and tactical edge over enemies. Now, why this is called as a elite group? Very few countries have this technology because it includes high complex engineering, advanced propulsion science, high cost, and strategic restrictions. So, mastering SFDR means India joins technologically advanced military powers. The next article for the day, Supreme Court has not upheld death penalty in 3 years. Now what are the key findings? In last 3 years, Supreme Court confirmed zero death penalties. In 2025, 10 death row prisoners were acquitted and over last 10 years, 1310 death sentence given by trial courts. So, lower courts give many death sentences, but higher courts often reverse them. Now, why is this worrying? This shows high error rate. If higher courts keep acquitting people, it means weak investigation, faulty evidence, and wrongful convictions, and long suffering. That is 574 people still on death row, and many spent 5 to 10 years before acquittal. See, imagine spending years waiting for execution, then being declared innocent. This is a serious human rights issue. The Supreme Court of India has laid down safeguards in cases like Manoj versus State of Madhya Pradesh, Vasanta Sampath versus Union of India. The court said before giving death penalty, judges must consider psychological reports, background of accused, mitigation factors, and proper sentencing hearings. But report says 95% cases ignored these procedures. So sentencing is rushed and unfair. See, there are bigger constitutional issues here. Article 21, right to life and personal liberty. Death penalty is allowed only in rarest of rare cases. If courts make frequent errors, then risk of executing innocent people increases, and that challenges constitutional morality. The next article for the day, global aid cuts could lead to 22.6 million additional deaths. See, the study was done by Barcelona Institute for Global Health and published in the Lancet Global Health. It analyzed 93 low and middle income countries, including India. Now, what is the warning in this article? If global aid reduces sharply by 2030, 22.6 million additional deaths will happen, and 5.4 million children under 5 and major health setbacks. So, aid cuts is equal to fewer hospitals, medicines, vaccines, and nutrition programs. This directly increases mortality. Now, what is ODA? ODA means Official Development Assistance. It means financial help given by rich countries to poorer countries for health, education, nutrition, poverty reduction, and infrastructure. In simple words, these are global aid for development. Now, how has this ODA helped so far? Between 2002 to 21, ODA achieved 39% reduction in child mortality, 70% reduction in HIV/AIDS deaths, 56% reduction in malaria death, and better nutrition and health services. So, aid has saved millions of lives, and this shows ODA is not charity, it is a powerful public health tool. Now, why is the problem happening now? In 2024, major donor countries like USA, UK, France, and Germany reduced their aid budgets. The reasons cited are economic pressures, domestic priorities, and geopolitical shifts. So, funds for poorer countries are shrinking. See, the most vulnerable one here is the sub-Saharan Africa, and the highest risk is Asia, including India, because of the large population, and there will be a huge impact if the system fails. In the next article for the day, Russia sounds alarm as New START treaty is set to expire. The treaty is called New START, which stands for Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, and was signed in 2010 between United States and Russia. It limits number of nuclear warheads, intercontinental missiles, and deployed launch systems. It also allows inspections, verification, and transparency. So it prevents an arms race. Now, what is happening? The treaty is set to expire, and Russia has offered 1 year extension, but the US has not yet responded. If it expires, There will be no legal limits or monitoring on nuclear arsenals. This is why Russia says the world is entering a dangerous moment. See the next article for the day. 84% waste pickers from SC, ST, OBC groups government. See, the data comes from Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. It is part of the Namaste scheme. The scheme aims to identify waste pickers, recognize them officially, provide protective equipment, improve safety, and eliminate hazardous sanitation deaths. So this is both a welfare and dignity initiative. The key findings of the report here are: total waste pickers identified are around 1.52 lakh. And the social category breakup is: SC constitutes the most, it is around 60.3%, and OBC 13.7%, and ST 10.5%. Total 84.5%. And the general category is around 10.7%. So, majority comes from historically marginalized communities. If you take the gender profile, women constitutes around 48.7% and men 51.3%. Transgender, very small number. So nearly half are women. This shows intersection of caste plus gender vulnerability. The next article for the day: Indian scientists make affordable dipstick test to track AMR in sewage. First, what is AMR? It happens when bacteria become resistant to antibiotics, medicines stop working. So the result is infections become harder to treat, higher deaths, longer hospital stays, and more expensive healthcare. And WHO calls AMR a silent pandemic. And India is considered a global hotspot for AMR. Now, why test sewage? See, sewage contains waste from households, hospitals, farms, and industries. So, it gives a snapshot of the whole community's antibiotic use. So, the advantages here are non invasive, it is ethical, cheaper, and it covers large population. So, testing sewage is equal to yearly warning system for AMR spread. Now, what is this new dipstick test? How it works: collect sewage sample, extract genetic material, amplify the resistant genes. Dipstick shows colored band if genes are present. So, if band appears, AMR genes are detected. So, results are visible to naked eye. It is fast and easy. Now, why is this innovation special? Because it is very cheap. Rupees 400 to 550 rupees per test compared to 9000 rupees for advanced sequencing. That is a huge cost reduction. It is fast, results within 2 hours, and it is scalable. It can test many locations easily. This is the wildfire that happened in Chubut in Argentina. Please have a look at this place in the map. So that's all for today. Thank you all for joining.